brief introduction of how we implemented the authentication feature to our project. So here's the code. So it's capable of caching the current session and also storing all the password and username, and also like determine which user are able to grant which type of access, which level of authorization we want to give him, like customer and employee to like only able to access like limited stuff. Here is the code how authentication server works. So the first one, current account and authentication type, is like how it's caching the current session. And admin cache, employee cache, and customer cache are how we save all the password and the username, like this map. And here is the construction, and let's get a current account, and here is the get authentication type. It will return like a user role. It's an enum. Here is also a function to in charge of encrypting the password. And this one is how we set the current account. This is a private function, so which are only allowed to be called from this check authentication function. So in this function, it's basically inputting the account number, which is like a user ID, and password and account type, which is a customer. C stand for customer, E stand for employee, and A stand for the admin. And the next is how we register new customer, new user, new customer, and new employee. When in terms of how to use this, beginning of the session, we have like authentication class, authentication function, which need to be called before everything else start. It's only allows 3 different commands. The first one is register for the employee, pretty much. And for the employee, we make it to only allow the current employee to be able to register an account. And the second function is to register for customer. And the third one is, of course, is login, how you're gonna check authentication and also switch the current session of so that we know who the current user is. And these functions are gonna be called at the beginning of our command loop. When we go to the command loop, the main loop, what we have is 3 extra functionality to kind of allow the current session to be able to switch user. And also this function is called a check authorization. It's pretty much like display the current username and the current user type. And the third function is register new user. So we kind of only make this function to be accessible by admin. Yeah, that's pretty much wrap up the authentication part.
This is the video demo to showcase what the authorization looks like for our repository. In this case, we decided to implement authorization via an annotation. And as you see here, the annotation is labeled authorized roles. The way that this is implemented is via the user authorization class, or the way that it's utilized. So this user authorization class has one method in it. It's called check authorization execute. And this is what we utilize before executing any method or invoking any method from our delivery service class. So what this does, before invoking any method, we check if the method contains an annotation present. And if it does, we get all the annotations that are in the authorized roles class in this case, or on top of the method itself. And we check if the user role that we passed in matches up any of the allowed roles that we currently have on the method itself. And in the case that none of the roles match up with the user role that we currently have, we print out a message saying unauthorized access. In the case that it does, we tell the user that they have authorized access to invoke this method, and then we invoke it. Right here, we just do a quick check on the arguments count and type just to make sure that the amount of arguments that we pass into the method matches up with the parameters that we currently have for that method. And after that, we invoke the method itself with the instance that we pass in and all the arguments. The user roles that we currently have set up are admin, employee, and customer. And an example of this annotation is right up here. So in the case for display items or for make drone, we limit that role to admins and employees of the delivery service itself. We don't allow customers in this case. If a customer was to log in and try to invoke make drone, they wouldn't be able to. Within the delivery service, this is in conjunction with utilizing the authentication server. Right up here, we get the user's authentication type. So this gives us what the user role is going to be out of the 3 that we talked about previously. And when with this user role, we then scroll down here. In the example of making a store, for example, we check the authorization beforehand, and then we execute. And let me go here. So to showcase this, if I want to log in as an admin, I can do login 35. Okay, there we go. Now, as an admin, we're logged in. Say, for instance, we would like to create an instance of a store. Okay, for creating a new store, the authorized role is only for an admin, so we will be able to create this. Okay, and then I'm going to create a Kroger in this situation. Make store Kroger. Great. And we have authorized access for this. But now, for example, say we want to try to sign in as a customer and try to do the same exact thing. Let me start a new instance so I can log in as a customer. Okay. And I'll do a login, G35. Now I'm a customer that's logged in. I'll try to invoke the same command, and it tells us that we have unauthorized access to do so. That's the basic gist of how authorization currently works. Hope you enjoyed the demo.
All right, to start the system overview of the Lightning modification, we start at the Lightning class. These are the properties of the Lightning, which is intensity, strike chance, frequency, duration, range, and location. Next, we go to system map, which holds the XY coordinates of the system map, which determines the size of it. And then there's a distance method that determines the distance between 2 different coordinates. So moving on to the next class, which is settings. Settings holds the XY coordinates that will determine the size of the system map, and lightning settings. There's a method called modify lightning, which basically changes the settings of the lightning properties that we discussed beforehand, and then some validation checks to determine whether the values are acceptable. And then there's initiate default settings that starts during startup of the application. As we can see, we have 40 set as Y and X to determine the size of the system map. Lightning is preset here, and then also lightning will be spawned in the background of the application. And then there's a timer that is the duration and respawning of lightning throughout the lifetime of the application. When user is ready and purchases order, there is a new method called deliver order to customer, which is called within assignment 3's previous purchase order method. The drone starts at the store's location and flies towards the customer's location. As it flies, it has a chance to be struck by lightning. If it does get struck, the drone is damaged and the store buys a new drone, stocks the order again, and redelivers it. And it will continue doing this until completion. Now there's a demonstration for this. Okay, now we will be demonstrating the lightning modification. At application load, the initial settings for the lightning settings will be as shown in the README document. We will create some initial data like creating store Kroger, customer Apple, and order A. And once everything is ready, we can see that the store currently has $33,000 in revenue. The customer will then purchase order and the delivery will start. The display shows how far the drone is within lightning range and warn us when it is. If the drone is damaged, order will be recreated and redelivered automatically. This will continue until the order is complete. The lightning settings can be modified as so. The README contains instructions about it. To confirm that the order was complete, We can see that the store now has $33,030 in revenue. And that's it for the Lightning modifications.
We also add the auditability function into our application. The auditability refers to the ability to systematically review and examine the activities, events, and the transactions that occur within our application. The goal of auditability is to provide a transparent and verifiable record of actions taken within our software. So it facilitates track with which comments were executed by which user, when was that comments executed. One of the key additions to our system is the implementations of a powerful tool, the query log function. This function allows us to track user activities, providing valuable insights into actions, which such as we can query log to see who and when purchase orders, display orders, and cancellations, etc. We've taken our system a step further by introducing a role-based access control system. This means we now have a structured way to control who can access and review logs. When it comes to deleting logs, only admin has the authority, adding an extra layer of security and data integrity.
Here is a demo of the implementation for the auditability part. If we go to the delivery service, the purpose of our logging is to log every activity from the commands and also save the results to some local text file. And we have a function to query logs based on the user role. So if it's an admin, it can access all the logs. If it's an employee, it can access the logs from the specific employee and other customers, but he cannot access logs for other employees or admin. And the specific functions are defined in the transaction logging. So we have the log save, log read. Also, there is a log delete for admin only. And at first, we do not see any log test file here. And we put the log test related commands here to do a one-time run. So basically, we will log in as admin, run commands, and we want to query log as admin, expecting to see all the logs from the commands above. And also we want to try the delete logs as admin. Besides, we will switch our identity to new user as a customer. And for customer, we fail to query logs. And if we switch to employee, we were able to query specific logs as from the employee. And if we run it here, after run all the commands, we should be able to see a log test file. Here we need to do the reload disk because it's still in debugging mode. We'll see there is a newly added log test file. All the previous commands have been logged here with username, user type, and the commands and the specific running time. So if we try one more step, we'll see we have the access and we see the full six logs. And going forward, before we switch user to customer, we also delete the logs as admin. So you can go back to the log test to see it delete all the logs before and log the delete log command here. And also we switch user to customer is also log here. And after we log in as a customer, we fail to query as a customer. You will see that. Well, if we run the query log, we have unauthorized access, we cannot query log. And then we switch to employee, which means we are expecting to see only the logs related to the specific employee. If we check the current log, we have two such items for customer, so we are supposed to see two lines here. So that's a full demo of the auditability part.